Guys, it definitely has been a while since last time, but finally we are having a look at another aircraft carrier in World of Warships. This time it's the Bogue at Tier 5 in the American tech tree. Now, I actually did a review of the Bogue a couple of patches ago already, and as it's mostly still valid, I will not do a full review of it again. If you want to go and check that one out, I have included a link to it in the description below. What this episode is really about then is sort of an update as to how you can get the most out of it under the current circumstances. So without rambling about any longer, let's discuss the means and hows during the gameplay. Alright, ladies and gents, so here we are in our Bogue and we got ourselves into a, fairly nice domination match. Well, there are good news and bad news. It's definitely good news is that there are plenty of battleships on the enemy team, so lots and lots of juicy targets, and there is only one destroyer, which is usually a major pain in the back for everyone, so this is already very sweet. What's also quite nice is that only about half of the enemy team is Tier 6, there are plenty of Tier 5 and even Tier 4 targets as well, which should definitely help. Now, what's less good is that there are two enemy carriers and both of them are Bogue, so we run the risk of having to face quite a few fighters in this match. Now, it will turn out that luckily they are either running the basic layout or the aggressive layout, so it's not as dangerous as it sounds, but you will run into some games when you have to face two American CVs. And if you are not running a fighter heavy layout yourself, you know what that means. What we also have to be careful about is the enemy cruisers. There is a Cleveland and maybe an Aoba, who we have to be mindful about. We really don't want to get caught up in their anti-aircraft fire. Now, while we are doing a pretty basic standard scouting run while leaving our torpedo bombers in the back, in the safety, let's just quickly discuss the most used and probably the best layouts at the moment in World of Warships. Now, the meta is always changing, so you always have to make adjustments depending on what you will face, at least in most of the games. Just recently there was a very long and painful period when pretty much every single aircraft carrier player was going fighter-only layouts, which really killed the game for the aircraft carriers in general. Basically what happened is it was like a private fight on the battlefield between the two CV players. Maybe they could sink one or two destroyers with their dive bombers if they were lucky, and if they were not playing Japanese. And that was pretty much it. They could scout, but they really couldn't have an impact. I had so many games when I had the clear sky award after completely blasting the enemy carrier out of the sky, and then basically just helplessly looking at how my team was melting away, and I knew how much damage I would be able to inflict on the enemy ships if I only had one torpedo squadron, but I didn't. And dive bombers, well, you know how limited their potential is, even though they are quite reasonable these days, not as they used to be. Now here we see this guy coming to a standstill, and I do make a mistake here. I already see here that he will reverse. So suddenly he gains speed, and that means that I will only have a very limited hit of 2 torpedoes, which almost kills him, but this should have been a kill if I would have aimed just a little bit better. It was quite obvious what he was doing. And also, by the way, jumping on the enemy fighters there, while basically the goal was I wanted to make sure that he is occupied with my fighters and will leave my torpedo squad alone. But that was probably a mistake as well. I should have micromanaged it, and it wouldn't have cost me a whole fighter squad. Anywho, where was I? Oh yes, so while we are intercepting that torpedo squad, let's go back to the best layouts. Now these days, luckily the meta changed again. And now I wouldn't say all the CV players, but I would say about 80–90% of them are running probably either the basic layout or the full aggressive layout. Which means that there will be a lot less enemy fighters to worry about. Which is good, because you can be a bigger help to the team. And you can definitely have a bigger impact in the game as well. And to be frank, it's playing with fighters only is not much fun in the CVs. One of the reasons why I'm still at the grind where I am, because as the meta that we discussed was occurring, I really didn't find any enjoyment in just playing like a top-down, click your fighters on the enemy fighters type of game. Aiming with torpedoes, that's fun. Clicking with fighters, yeah. It can be a strategic element, but if it's only that what you're doing, that's not much fun. So anywho, right now, we definitely should go for the direct damage. Now we have two options. We can use the basic layout for the US ships, and this is only for the US, by the way. Japanese, as far as I'm concerned, it's only really torpedo bomber heavy, the only way to go. Their fighters are useless, their dive bombers are useless, so it's really reliant on making the best use of torpedoes. If you are on a different opinion, do let me know. I'm very interested in alternatives all the time. But as for the US, at the moment, so basically you have the choice to go for a full aggressive layout, but apart from the higher tiers, low and mid tiers, that basically means that you have an increased number of dive bomber squads. And you pretty much will run with only one torpedo bomber squadron, while completely saying no to the fighters. The fighter setup is fighters only with one or two dive bombers. Again, it's a very specific layout. And in the meantime, that battleship is turning way too late, and oh yes, that's exactly why we play American CVs. That will leave a mark. So, again, sorry for interrupting. So coming back to the discussion, it's really the question whether you should go full aggressive or the basic layout. And I have been playing lately, well, exploring really what would be the best way, and I found myself actually sticking with the basic layout. Means that, for example, with the Bogue, as the flooding finishes off that poor battleship. So with the Bogue, you basically say no to an extra squadron of planes, which would be, with the aggressive layout, a dive bomber squad, and you will go to the battle with a fighter and a torpedo bomber squadron. Sorry for the replay bug, actually. The video almost did froze up. I don't know if you did see it too, but we should be back to normal now. So the two squadron setup seems to be actually the most flexible. You may have only one torpedo squad and no dive bombers at all, but I am very happy to say no to dive bombers anyway. And that one single torpedo squadron is capable of dealing out massive amounts of damage, as you will see in this game. I mean, we already scored 6 torpedo hits and sunk 1 ship. And at the same time, you have the fighter squadron. We already shot down 12 fighters, and the only reason why we will not be able to shoot down many more is because actually our teammates are making really good short work of the enemy CVs, which is definitely a bonus for us. And there just won't be any more planes to shoot at. But having a 6-plane strong squad of torpedo bombers and a 6-plane strong squad of fighters, especially when fully upgraded, is really a strong force to be reckoned with, and you can really basically react to most things that you will encounter on the battlefield. Now, you have to be mindful because it's really easy to run out of planes. You don't have the dive bombers, for example, at your disposal that you could throw at your enemy, trying to distract them, and basically buying time for your more precious torpedo bombers. But, well, that's a price I'm more than happy to pay for the flexibility. Now this guy, this lonely destroyer here, is making really good work trying to get out of the of my range, get out of sight. There he is. And if he's maneuvering like that, it will be very, very hard to hit him. And we won't succeed, but we are dooming him nonetheless. Now I'm making an attempt here, and he is very well aware that that's what's happening, and he is maneuvering to avoid the torpedoes. That was not the best of launches anyways. But right now, he pretty much has to go that way to avoid the torpedoes. Well, he's actually far away to turn, but the torpedoes are chasing him in one direction, and that allows the other ships to shoot at a target that can't really maneuver left and right, so it was still worthwhile. And there comes the fire, and he's now being shot at from at least 3 directions, and ooh, that was a major hit. So now the only thing I have to worry about is to keep him lit with the fighters. All the enemy CVs are dead anyway, so the fighters will be used for scouting and for taking out the enemy attack planes that are launched by the cruisers and by the battleships. Come on, just sink, please. I have urgent matters to attend to. There we go. So this game has been pretty easygoing so far. Now, unfortunately, here we have a bit of a situation, which means that the enemy is all grouped up together, maximizing their firepower, but, well, our team is basically split into 2, which will have the results that you would expect it to have, but nothing is lost, and that New Mexico is just sailing into a crossfire. Well, that was only going to end one way. So, until I rearm my torpedo bombers, basically I will go with my fighters to stay in a position where I can keep these ships lit up all the time, so we know where they are moving, while not getting shot at ourselves. And I will also try to bring the Bogue itself closer to the enemy, so I can make quicker runs with my torpedo squads. Well, with my 1 torpedo squad, because it takes hell of a long time to reload the American planes. So at least we should try to minimize the time they have to travel back and forth between the front and your ship. Okay, so let's see who we can go for first. There is 1 battleship trying to break out towards our cap. We definitely can't have that. Okay, so he is sailing between 2 islands, which will limit his possibilities.
Group 3, we are under attack.
But I need enough space so my torpedoes can arm themselves. Now I'm trying to go back and forth here, trying to confuse him. He did see me, he started to move. And yep, that will be enough. So now I have enough time. Well, enough space to arm my torpedoes, and he is still quite slow, trying to gain speed, trying to turn, but his options are limited. Now I messed it up, but this is still a good one. Basically, he cornered himself between those 2 islands, and yep, that's exactly what happens in these cases. Merciless. Alright, so that was a 5 torpedo hit, but only 3 of them were needed to bring that battleship down. And while we lost a couple of ships, it still seems to be pretty much in the bag as long as our comrades are not throwing their ships away. It's 2 battleships really damaged New Mexico, who is just regaining some health. An almost full health Congo and a completely full health Königsberg. I don't know where that guy was until now, but hopefully we can take away some of that health. Okay, so in the meantime I'm still maneuvering with the ship. I was sailing away as the battleship did close the distance, but now it seems that it's quite safe to go closer, so what I will do is I will just sail almost into that island to be completely out of sight. And you see it's almost half a minute till my planes will be ready. So that way I will be close, I can't be shot at, there are no dive bombers, torpedo bombers or pesky destroyers that I have to worry about. So that should be a pretty good position for me. I can go basically all the way down till that larger island, and I should be pretty safe. Or I can play it a little bit more safe and stop at those little islands just a bit further away. Okay, so torpedo bombers are ready. And these guys are not giving up easily. And it's only 5 minutes left. Bloody hell. I mean, by the points, they did pull it back, so it's more close now than it would be really comfortable. That's okay. Here comes the squadron of death. Okay, so who do we go for? They are pretty clustered up and I really don't want to throw my planes away. So I think we take on that Congo as we gently glide through the mountain. Okay, so this Congo is on dangerously high health. So let's see if we can do something about that. He's also on the edge, so I won't be in crossfire between all the anti-aircraft fire of those ships. And I'm not that much faster, but I'm fast enough to go past him. He knows what's coming, he is turning. And he's trying to, but then suddenly he stops. He just slows down. And that was not well timed, my friend. Not well timed at all. A full broadside. It was a painful one. 5 torpedo hits and most of his health gone. So that means we have 2 very injured battleships and a cruiser that we have to face. Now it's really time to come closer with the Bogue. I will sail into that larger island. There is no immediate threat from any of these ships really, so I should be as close as possible to the front, so I can quickly rearm and then re-engage right away. Honestly, by the work that my team has done in the past seconds, I really have to take this on myself. I mean, those 2 cruisers are at least shooting at them, but I don't know what that battleship does in the back. It's probably slow as hell, and oh, there goes the Königsberg, so that's good. I don't think he will be making it back in time to be able to shoot at these targets at all, so the Cleveland is running away, which is actually a sensible thing to do. There is only 2 minutes left of the game. And those are battleships, and we are ahead of points. So, until nobody dies, we should be winning this. And the the other cruiser is just asking the Cleveland why he's running away, why he's not capturing. Well, he does not want to be sitting in the middle of the open, trying to capture a base, which he will never do in time, and being shot at by battleships and give the enemy a chance to actually win this game. It seems our friend is not taking into consideration this very, very special option. And that's the collision alert. Just basically parked into the island. And there we go. I think that's the New Mexico. Oh yes, it is. Okay, so he is trying to turn to get away, but that's okay. Oh, and he's turning again. So slowly gaining the distance on him, quickly changing sides, which we will try to counter by turning again, but this is making him very slow. So he is almost at a standstill here. It's constantly turning, but only at a very slow pace, and that allows me to really place those torpedoes ahead of him, and he can't get out of the turn quickly enough, so there we go. Well played, but you couldn't get out of this one, so sorry. 1, 2, 3, and there he goes. So that means the game is now secured. Unfortunately, it's only 6 seconds left, so just in time to claim another kill. Would have been nice to sink the last ship as well, but hey, I don't think we can complain with this one. Now, looking at the results, I hope you see that you really shouldn't be afraid using the basic layout, as it gives you more flexibility even with the more limited squad count. 17 torpedo hits and 3 ships sunk is exactly the direct influence that you would miss with a pure fighter-heavy layout, and yet we still managed to shoot down 14 planes as well. Now all of this was enough for 250,000 credits and 1700 base XP. Not bad at all from a tier 5 CV in a tier 6 match. But the real reward is on this screen. 99,600 damage done together with the flooding. I think we can run this one up to 100,000 damage with a single torpedo squadron. If you can protect it, that's all you will need in most games to have an important role in the game. So then, this was my updated Bogue guide. I hope it will help you guys to have more fun and a bigger impact in your careers these days. If you found this useful, thanks a lot for considering giving it a like or sharing it. Still within this week there is actually some SPG action coming up in World of Tanks with the British Bishop, and of course I might see some of you as well tomorrow during my first ever stream as well. Take care guys, and I look forward seeing you again in some of the next videos.